the president's economic advisors, or is from the Bretton Woods institution that includes IMF? Let's see what Kenyans are saying as far as this discussion in studio is concerned this morning. Rollins Juma saying, just one demo and I cannot hear enough of Gen Z. This Gen Z that, give me a break. Derek, it was easy to blame Raila or Uhuru during their previous demos, but now it's citizens of which you are still in denial stage that it can't happen. Josephine, Gen Z should be on the lookout today for government-sponsored goons who may join the demos and cause violence to tarnish the efforts of the demonstrators. Jairus Bahati, reject Finance Bill 2024. Chief is the next thing in line. This time round, the future is guaranteed by the rise and voice of Gen Z. These demos are proof that we don't need politicians to organize demos. We just need one common goal: to be fed up and to deal with the oppressors. Henry Ngeso, Kenya Kwanza denial may lead them to use violent force today and in subsequent demos leading to the death of a protester, which I don't think Gen Z will take lightly. As and when that will happen, they will cross the Rubicon, ushering in mobocracy and finally a revolution. Frank Oride, demos by the young generation, that is Gen Z, expose the police as the single body responsible for chaos during peaceful processions, denying Kenyans the chance to exercise their democratic right. Why were they firing live bullets and tear gas at peaceful protesters? George Mutuku, these so-called Gen Z-led demos aren't spontaneous and organic, but behind the scenes influenced and bankrolled by the discredited Kenyan political class that is from Azimio One Kenya Alliance side. These are youngsters hired to sanitize a session of Kenya's ruling elites. Zach Kinodhia. You know, Mheshimiwa here stated that Gen Z are funded. There could be powerful forces. You know, during the Finance Bill 2023, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta was drawn into the murky-dirty politics of then. What's your view as far as Kenya's concerns are actually feedback are concerned? At the same time, could there be a plot, because I've seen it on social media, of counter-attacks or to actually have goons within the demo so that, you know, it appears that the Gen Z are now becoming rowdy and uncontrollable, then police will use force on them?
Let me put it this way. I'll give you two occasions, and then we can perhaps quote history, contextualize the present, and predict the future. One, the Tiananmen Square of China, the demonstration that led to a revolution that changed the government to current one, began by a simple act that people are asking for expanded democratic space. So people said, let us meet in Tiananmen Square and talk. Tiananmen Square is the equivalent of Uhuru Park in Kenya. Let us meet there, goodwill people, let's meet there tomorrow and talk about democratic space. So it begins by very few people. You know, Chinese are a billion plus. But it's begun by 5,000 people, 2,000 people meeting, another time 7,000. And the police would say, wacha hiyo watu wamelipwa na America. America is coming in to destroy our country here. This is what Chinese authorities said. Until one morning, they threw water on them and clamped down on peaceful demonstrating young girls. The rest is history. The other day, here in Tunisia, a university student, rather a university graduate who had fallen into desperate moments after lacking a job, went to the street to hawk nuts. Now, a local municipal policeman arrested the young person and asked them, where is your license for operation? The young man said, I have no money to pay for it. And then the young man started walking away. But the county police followed the guy, akatandika hizo vitu kwa kichwa, and all the merchandise fell on the floor. You know what the guy did? Took the 20 shillings or whatever they call their money, went to the shop, bought, rather to petrol station, bought some fuel, and immolated himself. Akajichoma. That is how Arab Spring Revolution began. Everybody left their houses, filled the streets, and fell into the people. So what I'm saying, and I would want to encourage the ruling elite today, dismissing Gen Z as a paid up, propped up choreography is dangerous. Because these things do not begin organized. They begin disorganized, they mobilize anger, they mobilize dissatisfaction. Thugs that they are warning against here join. And when thugs join, the police are bound to use force. When police uses force, they are about to injure people. Like the way a policeman was injured yesterday. It has caused a lot of consternation amongst police, because even these police are also suffering. Perhaps the people they are tear gassing are speaking for them, but they have been forced by authority to fall into the streets. So what I would want to say is this, and I think the president, I hope he meant it by saying people should be allowed to go to the street to demonstrate, picket within the law, and go home. That's fine if he meant it, but I told you I have my reasons to doubt that he means it because of his history of doublespeak. So let me put it this way, my brother. When people are coming to the street, it is not the coming to the street that a good government should interrogate. No, it is why people are coming to the street. And it is easy. Address the economic challenges and listen to them. Why are people, despite amendments, going to the street? Simple. Finance Bill 2023 that became an act of parliament in 2023 is the instrument of financial fiscal management that we are operating under, including now. The question is, the money that was collected then from your salary, especially, your salary, for me, I'm not in a salaried job, so the three of you here have been paying housing levy. Surely, what is the value for that money to date? These are the questions people are saying. Kenyans want to pay tax, but this tax should fall into prudent use and address their challenge. Nobody say, I don't want to pay tax. Well, everybody want, including me, I am happy to pay tax as my civic duty. They are happy to pay taxes as civic duties. Everybody in this country want to pay tax. But Generation Z, who are living in university now, are asking, we can see the charade, we can see the theatrics that you guys are playing with us. Tukikuja huko nje na hakuna majob. Nyinyi, kumalo bwana.
Well, now, business people in Nairobi, that is the Nairobi business community, have so far lamented losing 2 billion Kenya shillings during Tuesday's demonstrations, and in fact, they're blaming it on the police. This even as business people under the Pan-African Trade Summit umbrella are now calling on the government to recall the entire bill, arguing that it is a means to stunt the growth of Kenya's business landscape, both locally and internationally. The business people led by No One founder, that is Ray Yusuf, are calling for a quick solution to financial discrimination, which they say is being propagated by the IMF and World Bank policies. Listen in.
Taxation is the way to poverty. Consider for a moment the fundamentals of how taxation works. The government in this country and every other country in the world can literally create money at will. Their job is to put as much money in circulation to match the amount of potential work. You've got all this potential work here in Africa, but the amount of money in circulation is here. And they want to tax our own people by taking what meager gains they have and giving to them when they can just create more money at will. It makes absolutely no sense. It's preposterous. This taxation bill is not coming from the minds of our leaders here. It is being imposed on them by the IMF and the owners of global financialized capital. Why? Because they want to strangle the economy of Kenya. They want to keep the economy of Africa and the entire global south strangled. Why? Because they see the threat.
Honorable Kirwa, you've heard from the international community. The Nairobi business community says 2 billion Kenya shillings were lost as a result of the police, tear gassing protesters in the Nairobi Central Business District. And concerns now that there could be a possibility that today government-sponsored goons have been sent to counter the demonstrations by Gen Z.
Jacha,
are you also still maintaining your sentiments that Gen Z is sponsored, and by who?
Let me just also put one straight thing here, that the World Bank, the IMF, the Bretton Woods are behind this bill of finance bill. IMF supports 190 countries in the world to bring the stability, to make sure that they have enough resources to run their government, their loans and stuff like that. They don't have any idea, they don't have any reason why they should come into finance bill like this. So I want to just make it clear that none of the proposals, maybe Other people brought the proposals, because if you look at the finance bill, you see who proposed it. And was it accepted? Was it not accepted? So none of this was actually brought in by the IMF, because a member of the finance committee would have been here and say, yes, we got a proposal from IMF, we got a proposal from Bretton Woods here. But I want to say that they have nothing to do with that. They are here to help this country. They are helping 190 other countries in the world. So Kenya is not an exception that they should be part and parcel of preparing the finance bill. Two, on this issue of Gen Z, which is something that we'll all have to look into. We are not dismissing them. We are not discrediting them. Their concerns are genuine. And that is why when they talked about the issue of bread, we listened and we just made changes. When they talked about the issue of parts, that we are taxing parts, we said, no, we're not taxing parts. What we are doing is that we want to promote the local manufacturer of parts here. So they are accelerating them.
Of those companies?
It doesn't matter. It could be yourself, it could be myself, it could be anybody else. The owners of those companies specifically is to promote the local manufacturing. That's why
you saw even dynasties.
Not necessarily dynasties. We want to promote. You know, we are net importer instead of net exporter. We are importing, even including toothpicks, including the parts, something that can be done here, including the tissues. So what we are saying is, for us to promote our own production, we have to make sure that we reduce the taxes for products that are manufactured locally, and then the products that are just brought from, say China, because a lot of our parts are coming from China.
So the argument here is that the move will, create jobs.
It will create jobs.
President William Ruto came to office with a promise of lifting the hustlers, elevating them.
And he's doing that very well.
So this time round, if at all these taxes are going to be imposed on Kenyans and they don't see the jobs, perhaps it's the reason we're seeing the Gen Z coming out to protest. So has President William Ruto take a U-turn on now, taking Kenyans to secure jobs abroad? Has it failed?
No.
That's perhaps where
the president will continue to seek for jobs for young people outside the country. We are going digital. We are now we are opening a lot of digital centers where some of these young people will be employed, and they are able to work for AI companies either in California or some of the countries outside. Because the problem that we have now is unemployment, which is over 30%. So what the president is doing and his government is trying to figure out, what can we do to make sure that we secure and create jobs for these young people.
There was a promise when Kazim Tani was scrapped off, that the youth will plant trees. Then soon after, it was affordable housing. Well, even as Kenyans have contributed to the affordable housing, the money has been taken and has been invested in the treasury bills and bonds. That, of course, means there is no circulation of that money in the economy, and the youth are not employed. Are you not concerned with this?
I think we need to be very honest on this, because I sit in the Committee of Housing, and there is a lot of young people who have been employed, especially
how many? To quantify?
It's quite a number. I mean, I cannot give you a number right now, but I know for sure for all the housing projects that are going on all over the country,
covered,
a lot of young people.
Much activities happening.
For example, there's a market in Mosop, Kaiboi, which is going on. I was there 3 days ago. There are a lot of young people, youth are the ones who are being employed to work there. So I'm talking about the president has done quite a bit to make sure that these promises, what he promised, he has delivered. If it wasn't so, Jaja, just give me 1 minute, the shilling could not have strengthened. When we came in, the shilling was at 165. Today, it is at 128 to $1. You tell me, when we came, the shuka, or even the flour, unga, was at 135. Today is less than 100. So you have to look at the basics that some things have actually worked, and it continues to get better and better. We are not where we were some months back, but where we are going is even better as a nation, as a result of some of the changes this government has done. And one of them is this finance bill for 2023, now finance bill 2024. Well, we cannot just say it is a bad thing.
On, of course, the affordable housing that was previously, brought by the Finance Act of 2023. It was scrapped off, of course, due to the court process. Then a bill was brought, became an act, Kenyans that promised jobs. And is this what perhaps the Gen Z could be protesting, that you're taxing us, we're not seeing the jobs, first of all, you're promising? On the affordable housing bill, Mheshimiwa, is it working, the affordable housing?
Joel, before I go into that, I just want to say that KK government has really made us to understand that we have what we call ironies of intellectual history. What KK government, you remember during Uhuru's government, these same people in the government, the deep state in the government, claim that the Uhuru government is increasing taxes, is increasing steward. But now, immediately after they have taken over the government, we saw increases in taxes. We saw increases in fuel prices that they were saying these prices are very high. Uhuru government has increased the prices of fuel. We saw that increase. On the issue of exchange rate, the exchange rate went to 165 this year during KK government time. But when they took over, the exchange rate was at 120 something, 120 something.
123.
So you cannot say, you cannot talk, or you should not be talking of Uhuru's government. The intention, the purpose of housing levy. Let me just go back to the finance bill for 2023 during public participation. I also participated as a member of parliament for Turkana South. I participated to give my ideas on this particular bill. And I told the committee that we cannot levy Kenyans this housing levy because we don't have the right infrastructure to implement this particular levy. And they refused. I told them you'll be embarrassed in parliament. If you will be able to defeat us in parliament, you'll be embarrassed by the courts of Kenya. Were they embarrassed? They were embarrassed because there was no law in place. And then I gave example of Singapore. Singapore introduced this levy in 1961 there. After 3 years, that's when they implemented the levy now. But Kenya, you do the opposite. So the purpose of the housing, affordable housing, was meant to take care of these hustlers who do not have houses. But unfortunately, if you look at this particular bill and their amendments, they have said that Article 43, is it 43?
43, social, economic and social rights.
Accessibility of those houses.
Article 43.
They have tried to challenge the intentions because it was a special fund to support the so-called hustlers.
Well,
but they have changed that narrative so that the deep state can buy these houses for business purposes, for resale.
so there's yet another
They can
deep
buy
state.
the houses, they resell, they buy again, they resell. Can you just go to that particular
This is another deep state.
section, article?
No. What it does is it removes the affordable housing contribution relief, but introduces tax deduction for payments under the Affordable Housing Act. That's exactly what it is. That you can actually deduct during your tax deduction as a tax deduction.
It's not about a tax deduction. They have said, can you just go to the housing, whatever, this year? Affordable housing. Clause 61, the committee noted that the current provision in Affordable Housing Act was limiting the right to property under the Constitution and therefore supports the amendments. The amendments, you are not conditioned
So
on
you
your
read
ownership.
malice with this
So it
particular...
is the intention, the purpose of the housing levy.
No, it was
Even as we end
intended
up
to
for the interest
continue.
of time, Zach, you see, the whole issue of taxation, for the sake of repayment of debt, yet we are still borrowing more. There's a contradiction there.
Yes.
And the bill by Honorable Ruko for protesters to be fined 100,000 Kenya shillings or a jail term of a year if at all they don't get valid permit. Yet the police, appear to take instructions from elsewhere on whether they should grant these permits or not, and that's what also the LSK president was talking about. As you give your final remarks in a minute.
Well, I believe that Adamson Bungei, the Nairobi region police commander, gets instruction from Sudi or Faruk Kibet. It is not anywhere from standing orders of National Police Service. And I have advised the good man to go to Karen and look for retired Major General Ali Hussein. In 2007-2008, the guy was in charge of the police. And he was doing the right job, taking instructions from the handlers of Kibaki. What followed has affected his entire retirement time. I hope Hussein Ali is in peace, but whatever happened to him, he will never forget. So I'm advising Koome and Adamson Bungei, the way they are dealing with the protesters, my friend Chacha, the way they are dealing with the protesters who are writing per the Article 27 a permit for demonstrating, and they are coming unarmed. The way police are dealing with them, the way they dealt with us when we were in the street protesting in January last year, will come to haunt him. So Bungei should be careful that even if he's taking instruction from State House operatives, he should remember there will be a time when he will be out of office. Whether Ruto will serve 10 years or 5, there will be a time when he will not be the man protecting him.
Thank you.
I am advising him. So lastly, this housing tax that my brother Mosop MP is talking about is even worse. I am happy when it was levy. Now they are making a deductible tax. Makes it now a question of consolidated fund. When it was a levy, it would only go to housing levy. It is a special fund. Now that it is a tax, it complicates the entire accountability, as he's saying, complicate the entire operationalization of the money, and this one makes the money even more and less useful to the people. My last question, advice, is to Parliament. These brothers of mine here, I was number 2. I was contesting my seat in Kigumo, Muranga. And because I was not with the Yellow Party, I lost it with Mary, about 800 votes. I am advising them to stand in for the people. These are hard times. These are difficult times. Stand in for our people. And especially, Mheshimiwa, I send you to my friend Meli, the chairman for education. Go and tell Julius Meli, I am watching him with anger. He's a friend of mine. Because they have removed money from university education, and now the bursary they have will not be able to fund public admitted student in the university, because children are now supposed to pay 150,000 per semester. Which parent is going to manage 150 to take their children to the university? Out of time.
Thank you so much.
Please stand in for us.
And Honorable Kirwa, your final remarks in 30 seconds.
I want to first of all thank you and thank all the viewers who have been with us today. I want to also urge the young people, the Gen Z protesters, that don't allow to be used. Look at this bill, read this bill, understand there is a lot of good things in this bill that is going to help you, because the future of this country and the leaders of this country tomorrow is you. And as such, going to be used to protest, and then tomorrow you see you are hurt. At the end of the day, after all is said and done and the bill is passed for the good of this country, when you look back, you ask yourself, what was I protesting for? Because some of the contentious issues, Jaja, that was really serious issues, has already been addressed. The bill is good, and we hope it will be passed. But 2, I want also to ask Kenyans, this government came into office and it's doing the best it can. President Ruto and his government has done quite well, and I think we are going to a better place as a nation economically. Let's give this president and support this government as we continue to build this nation.
Dr. Rico, in 30 seconds, kindly.
Okay, I want to appreciate Kenyans. They have demonstrated they understand what is taking place in the government. And what to tell Kenyans? It is us, Kenyans, who finance development, who finance all government operations. We should not allow the outside world to support us, because
to sabotage us,
and give us condition on how to operate in our republic.
Thank you so much. That's Dr. John Ariko, Turkana South Member of Parliament, as well the member of the Finance Committee in the National Assembly, Honorable Abraham Kirwa, who's the Mosop Member of Parliament, and Zach Kinuthia, former Chief Administrative Secretary. Thank you so much.
But you're misleading MP for Mosop. You have misled him by accepting him to say here that William Ruto has really performed. You should only tell him, he should say that here. If he leaves this gate and say that William Ruto is really trying, Gen Z will be on his neck.
Well, thank you so much. That's been a discussion on the Finance Bill 2024. We will be actually bringing you wall-to-wall coverage as far as this whole bill is concerned right here on K24 TV. My name is Joel Chacha. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Thank you for the time.